Oscar Piastri isn't expecting any changes in his dynamic or future battles with McLaren teammate Lando Norris, now the Brit is world champion. Piastri led 2025's title fight for most of the season, 189 days. But a tough second half that included resurgences from both Norris and Red Bull top gun Max Verstappen saw him drop to third after Qatar. The Australian, whose Monza position switch enabled Norris to win the title, isn't expecting an uphill battle in 2026. For me, he's obviously had a great season this year and a deserving champion, but he's still Lando Norris. It's not like he's become Superman, Piastri said. Lewis Hamilton says he'll be uncontactable over the European winter, with the 7-time world champion keen for a reset in the aftermath of a difficult debut campaign at Ferrari. Hamilton will no doubt cherish his early sprint pole and win in China, but they're sole highlights of an excruciating switch to the Scuderia, in which he struggled at times with the team and car. Though the Brit is ready to put it all behind him, following a fight-back drive in Abu Dhabi, where he went from 16th on the grid to 8th at the flag for a more positive close to his campaign. With his post-season holiday set to be a proper break. I won't have my phone with me. It's going in the bin. I'm looking forward to that. Just completely unplugged from the Matrix, he said. Red Bull dominated headlines last week with news that it had locked in its 2026 driver lineups, which confirmed expected promotions for young guns Isaac Hadjar to Red Bull Racing and Arvid Lindblad to Racing Bulls. The deals completed the 2026 grid, with Hadjar's role the hardest in F1 in being teammate to Max Verstappen. Lindblad is alongside embattled Kiwi Liam Lawson, who races on for another season. The new driver pairings mean Yuki Tsunoda won't be on the grid in 2026 after 5 years racing at the pinnacle of motorsport, but he remains within the Red Bull family as test and reserve pilot. It's understood that Honda tried to force Red Bull's hand to keep Tsunoda on the F1 grid by offering it cheaper power units for its testing of previous cars or TPC program next year, but to no avail. Cadillac will go maximum attack for its maiden F1 campaign next season, with the squad's 2026 challenger to be revealed during an ad spot within the NFL's Super Bowl 60 coverage. Cadillac is set to be F1's 11th team, its first startup since fellow American team Haas in 2016, and expects to be a major flag bearer for the USA as General Motors Works Squad, making next year's Super Bowl the event that stops the nation a perfect platform. There'll be no shortage of eyes on the reveal, with this year's Super Bowl attracting 127.7 million viewers and a peak of 133.5 million for the world-famous halftime show. We're proud of our American heritage, and we want to show up in a way that feels bold, innovative, and distinctly ours, said Cadillac F1 CEO Dan Tauris. Toyota has upped its involvement with Haas for 2026, with the Japanese manufacturer to replace MoneyGram as the American team's title partner. Toyota originally signed a technical partnership with Haas in October last year to share knowledge, expertise, and resources. The Japanese manufacturer was instrumental in developing Haas's new TPC program, which it has helped run using Haas's 2023 car across 14 days in 2025. At circuits like Fuji Speedway, Mugello, Silverstone, Paul Ricard, and Imola. Also at the core of the partnership was a keen desire to give opportunities to Japanese racers, which Haas has done, for the likes of Ryo Hirakawa, Ritomo Miyata, Sho Tsuboi, and Kamui Kobayashi. Staying with Haas, where Esteban Ocon says his squad made so much progress with its car across 2025 that it would be fascinating to take it back to the season opener in Australia to see how much faster it was. Haas arrived in Melbourne in March with a difficult car and finished last in the race. But solutions were found at Albert Park, and Ocon then finished 5th at the next race in China, his best result of 2025. 8 more top 10s followed, and Ocon told F1's official podcast Beyond the Grid that the progress made on the car was huge.
Yeah, we've come a long way since then, a lot of understanding. The cars dramatically change. I think the aero consistency across parts and how, we've seen things this year and the amount of learning we've had, yeah, it would be a very different race weekend for sure.
Ex-F1 driver Jolyon Palmer says Carlos Sainz's impressive debut season at Williams bodes well for his potential competitiveness next year, with the Spaniard having scored 2 podiums for the squad. Williams sacrificed development in 2025 for major gains next year in F1's new era, but the British team rose to 5th in the Constructors, its highest placing since 2017. And Palmer, in a chat with official podcast F1 Nation, said that 2026 could be even bigger.
They didn't think that they were going to be particularly competitive this season. I mean, Carlos, if you told him he'd have more podiums than Lewis this year, he never would believe you at the start of the season. But he signed for next year. That's the really encouraging thing for Williams.
F1's governing body, the FIA, will be in the spotlight this week with the presidential election, where Mohammed bin Sulayem will run unopposed, set to be overshadowed by a legal challenge from ex-candidate Laura Villars that will proceed to trial in 2026. Villars, along with fellow ex-candidates Tim Mayer and Virginie Philippot, were forced to withdraw their bids for the FIA presidency earlier this year as they were unable to fulfill specific requirements, which Villars and her lawyer said was an impossibility. The FIA's rules state candidates must nominate a 10-person team as part of their application, including 7 vice presidents from an approved list and representation required from 6 regions. But the current approved 29-person list has just 1 representative from South America, Fabiana Eccleston, wife of former Supremo Bernie, who serves as a vice president to bin Sulayem. Bin Sulayem is expected to retain his presidency following the December 12 election in Tashkent, Uzbekistan. But the FIA will be holding its breath until February 16, 2026, when Villars' Paris trial will begin. Thanks for watching. To stay up to speed on all things Formula One, make sure you hit the subscribe button.